Hello and welcome to Are You Ready To? Are you ready to get organized and junk journal with me? I am going to show you how I transform this old photo album into a beautiful junk journal planner binder. This is my favorite junk journal project to date. So stick around, grab yourself a cup of joy of your choice, sit back, relax, and junk journal with me. When working with a planner of any type, notebook, or journal, I need to want to open it and work in it. My own one-of-a-kind planners and junk journals do just that. They bring me joy and encourage me to get organized and get my thoughts down on paper. My brother's fiance gave me a whole box of crafting supplies during Christmas, so I decided to use a lot of those supplies and turn them into my gift-giving planner for the year. What is a gift-giving planner? Well, it's a planner that helps me stay organized so I know what I'm on the lookout throughout the year. I don't know about you, but I buy gifts for people all year long, and I always do it secondhand style. So while I'm out there at flea markets, thrift shops, and yard sales, I need to keep track of the items and the plate patterns and all the collectibles that my friends and loved ones collect that I buy for them throughout the year to add to their collections. I also like to keep track of each individual person I buy gifts for interests and keep a budget on top of it, and then keep a log of the gifts that I purchased. That way I know somebody is done being shopped for the year for birthdays and Christmas alike, and I can move on to the next person, or I don't buy duplicates. I also have a goal this year to send out physical cards because I love thrifted, vintage, and antique postcards and greeting cards. I love Hallmark products as well, so I need to keep track of when people's birthdays and anniversaries are coming up, and I'm going to mark that in this gift-giving planner. Now, these are printables that are for sale on my digital Etsy shop, but you do not need to purchase these to do this. You can get any kind of beautiful papers and write on regular notebook pages. When shopping at thrift stores, flea markets, and yard sales, I do not carry this notebook around with me. What I do is, after I fill everything out, I take a photo of the pages with my phone and I file them away in my phone. That way I know what I am looking for while I'm out and about, and I'm not searching through text messages or 1,000 pictures on my phone. So this is the base of my junk journal planner, and you don't have to do this for a gift giving planner. This is for any planner or even any kind of binder junk journal or notebook that you would want to make in a binder style junk journal. These old photo binders are usually cost next to nothing, and you can find anywhere. They're at almost every Goodwill or thrift shop I've ever walked into. They really are a dime a dozen, and they just make a great base for a binder junk journal. So like I said, my brother's fiance gave me a whole box of crafting supplies, and one of the supplies in that box was this beautiful kind of Victorian / antique newspaper paper. Now, this is not as thin as newspaper paper, and it's not as thick as a cardstock, so it's somewhere in between. It's not like a regular paper thickness, if that makes any sense. So it's a little bit more structured than a piece of loose leaf paper. Not quite as thick as a cardstock. I thought this would be perfect to wrap the outside of this old photo album. So I got out my Mod Podge, which this is Mod Podge that I bought at a Dollar Tree for $1.25. This is a very cost-effective junk journaling project that just turns out so beautiful. I tried to find similar items that I'm using in this junk journal binder planner video to link below, and I did find some similar items. I don't get any kickbacks or anything for any links that I'm going to share. I tried my best, but what I came across that seemed to match the most was a newspaper print type wrapping paper. So that's what I would search up if you were looking for something similar to what I'm using here. Whenever I wrap a binder or any kind of notebook, I always start with the spine. That just makes for a better wrap around any kind of book, binder, or notebook. So I started with Mod Podging the spine, placed my paper where I wanted it to go, and now I'm just going to Mod Podge all over the rest of this binder and get it completely covered with this beautiful Victorian / antique newspaper paper. One thing I messed up here that I would do differently, which I forgot to do, was remove all those protective photo sleeves from the center of the binder. Remove that first before working with any kind of glue or Mod Podge, because I did get some Mod Podge on those pages and I needed to then wipe them off. So halfway between doing this, then I removed the protective sleeves. But when you go to do this, make sure to remove them first before working with the glue or the Mod Podge. Now you can use a backside of a ruler or some kind of, even those like Rubbermaid bread cutters are great tools. There are, crafting, smoothing tools out there to really smooth out the paper. I like a bit of a rough, wrinkled look, so it looks old and worn. I don't need it to be completely smooth, and I'm not working, as you can see, with a completely smooth surface. So I'm okay with it just using my hands to really press that paper on there and smooth it out. And that's exactly what I did when covering this old photo album. It also would be a great idea to get fabric glue, brush that on any kind of binder, notebook, or book, and then add fabric to the outside of the binder. So you don't even need to use this newspaper paper or cardstock or anything of the sort. You can pick up swatches of fabric at yard sales, flea markets, and thrift shops, and go ahead and get yourself some fabric glue and glue it on to the outside of your binders. Now, after I finished gluing the outside of the binder, I added glue to the inside corners and folded over those edges. I folded those edges over all the way up through the top, and I kept the excess paper attached until after the paper was completely dried. I did not want to mess around with any cuts or anything like that while the glue was still slightly damp or wet. For added texture and an extra seal, I got the rest of my Mod Podge and I brushed over the outside of the newspaper paper. Once I was finished, I set it aside and let it dry so I could start working on my junk journal planner pages. One of the things I love about junk journaling the most is challenging myself to use as much of something as I possibly can and really get in there and upcycle, whether it be a box or an old photo album like this. So I am not going to let these protective sleeves go totally to waste. I remove the plastic film from the protective sleeves, and then I'm going to use that great piece of thick cardstock as an added structured piece to some of my pages throughout this junk journal planner. I knew that for sure I wanted to add added structure to each monthly calendar page. So I punched the holes in the pages that I needed, and actually in every printable I punched holes. And then I added that photo sleeve in the middle of my calendar pages and utilized a reverse coloring book that came in the box of the crafting supplies that my brother's fiance gave me. I used the beautiful floral patterns and different kind of abstract reverse coloring pages and attached them to the back side of that protective sleeve. So it was the calendar page, protective sleeve, then the reverse coloring book page. And I did find that exact reverse coloring book on Amazon, and I will link that below. Again, I don't get any kind of kickback. It's just if someone wants to do pretty much the exact same thing I'm doing here, I wanted to do some of the legwork for you to make it as easy as possible. So all of the colors throughout this reverse coloring book just go beautifully with these printables. I was so happy with them. Just, again, brought me so much joy to put all throughout this amazing junk journal planner binder, and those protective sleeves just added a little extra structure to those pages that I knew I might be removing quite often. So as you know, in those old photo albums, those protective sleeves have kind of a sticky surface to them. They're not quite sticky enough to really count on them holding those pieces of paper for all of time. So I do go back later on and I add just a little bit of glue to the corners. That's what I do to make sure they're nice and secure. Other than that, I do allow that sticky film to do a part of the job, and then, like I said, a little glue to the corners to make sure that it's permanently on there. So also in that crafting box were these really cute stamps, and I thought they would make perfect tabs for this junk journal planner. I'm not going to use the stamps for all the tabs, but I'm going to start with January and use the stamps for my January binder tab. So what I did was found the corresponding stamps. There was 2 stamps of every kind of place from around the world. It seemed to be so. And I just stick them to each other on either side of my calendar page and my reverse coloring book page. Now you could skip this step altogether and just kind of use these pages as a binder stuffer, or get any kind of calendar from your local Dollar Tree or Dollar General, cut them to size, drop them in that protective film sleeve that you could buy also at your local Dollar Tree or Dollar General, and skip all these steps all together and add the tabs to that sleeve instead of the pages themselves. But that's no fun to me, and I like to make my junk journals and planners in this way. Either way works just as good as the next. It's just a matter of preference. So when I was done working with the month of January in my gift giving planner, My cover was completely dry. That's what I love about working with Mod Podge. It dries quickly. I love how the cover turned out. I love the wrinkling, as you can see. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. So it was dry enough for me to go ahead and cut that excess paper off the outer edges. I did go in then and add some, I believe it is Elmers all cover glue. It's a nice strong glue. It works really great. And I added that to the edges of the top part of the junk journal there, and I glued those edges down and made sure they were nice and flush with the surface of my old photo album. Now it was time to tackle those inside covers, the inside front cover and the inside back cover. So I utilized my gift giving planner belongs to page for the inside front cover, and then the blank page for the inside back cover. And like I said, I utilized the Glue All Elmer's glue. I love this glue. I work with it all the time. It really does work great, but it is on the harder side to smooth out. So you either need to use your finger or use a paintbrush of some sort to really smooth it out, to get that paper, whatever you're working with, on that surface smoothly. I just absolutely love the combination of soft pinks, black, gray, and golds. I just think it looks so classy together. It looks so beautiful. And when I go in, as you will see, to add florals to this as well, it's just so dainty and beautiful, and I just can't wait to open my planner and start writing in it and planning out all my gifts for all my friends and loved ones for this year. So this pack of stickers that my brother's fiance gave me are absolutely beautiful. They're not quite as thin as tissue paper, but they do have a matte finish, and they're just slightly thicker than a tissue paper. They go on beautifully. They would go on any surface, like a plastic, even a wood surface, and they work perfectly on this Mod Podge surface. These are beautiful florals in many different colors, and I put them on the front cover and arrange them how I like them, and I put them and add them all throughout this junk journal gift giving binder planner. Moving on to February, I had these beautiful white heart-shaped thick pieces of paper punches that I thought would make beautiful tabs for the month of February, because of Valentine's Day and all. So I glued 3 of them together and glued them to either side of the calendar page, as well as that beautiful reverse coloring book page with the piece of the photo cardstock protective sleeve in the center, just like I did for every calendar month. April to me is such a fun floral month, so I of course wanted for spring, for the month of April, to add a special extra tab, and I also, along with the rest of the supplies that my brother's fiance gave me, received in that box those cute little floral stickers. So I'm going to use that for the tab for the month of April. If you are still watching this video, thank you so much for watching, and you're going to want to stick around to see what I do for my added Christmas section. Yes, Christmas gift planning has its own section, and you're going to want to see what I utilize for my Christmas section tab. I just repeated the process for all the months, adding those protective sleeve cardstock pieces in between a calendar page and reverse coloring book page, and then added all the needed tabs on those calendar pages. Of course, I added stickers all throughout the entire junk journal planner. I had picked up at a paper pound thrift shop these beautiful fall floral note cards. They're absolutely gorgeous, and I knew I wanted to utilize them on this October month in this junk journal planner. So I cut them to size for my tab and glued them on the month page and glued another piece on the back side so I could be looking at that beautiful floral fall piece of note card on both the front side and the back side of this October month page. After using my glue to glue these pieces of note cards together, I got out my trusty old clothing line pin to hold them in place while they dry. I always try to keep them in stock when I'm crafting because they always come in handy and they're easy to work with. Christmas gift giving is my favorite time of the year. So Christmas and holidays are going to have their very own section because I do buy Christmas gifts throughout the entire year. I relist everybody's names. It's a separate category than my monthly category. So yes, there's 2 calendar months of December within this junk journal gift giving planner. One is just for the solid month of December, and one is for holiday gifts and Christmas gifts. For this tab, I wanted it to be extra special and extra sturdy, so I utilized this vintage ribbon packaging. What I did was detach the front and back side of the ribbon spool. I'm going to use them as an extra big, extra special tab so I can get to my Christmas gifts and holiday gifts section very quickly. I also had a piece of lace ribbon that came along with that beautiful Victorian / antique newspaper print paper that I covered this old photo album with. So I'm going to utilize that by stringing that through the holes of the spool cover pieces. So I just glued that down, flipped the page over. Of course, I put one of those photo sleeves, that thick cardstock piece of photo sleeve, in between the page that says Christmas gifts and this beautiful Christmas printable that has a vintage theme to it. I love vintage packaging, and that's why I chose to use this beautiful vintage spool of ribbon. So make sure when you're wrapping your gifts for your holiday seasons and birthdays and anniversaries that you keep your ribbon spools, because you can remove the faces and do crafting projects with them. I absolutely love how this turned out. Since I knew I would be using this tab the most frequently, I wanted to add a lot of extra glue to make sure it was super structurally strong and sound. Then, of course, I brought out my trusty clothing pin again and clipped it together until the glue dried. After the glue dried, I tied that ribbon into a beautiful little bow, cut off the excess ribbon, and I just love how the lace ribbon looks hanging out the side of my junk journal gift giving planner. It just adds an extra special touch, and I love that I was able to utilize my vintage ribbon packaging. There's nothing better than vintage packaging. Not only do I save my vintage ribbon spools, I also save gift tags, gift bags, wrapping paper if I really love it, cards that I received from loved ones, and I thought that this beautiful gift tag that I saved from Christmas this year would look perfect in the bottom corner of my solid December month calendar page to be utilized as a tab. Now that I completed and added all of my tabs and all of my calendar pages and pages that I wanted to add to my junk journal gift giving planner binder, I'm just going to page through it real quickly and show you each month and each corresponding tab. And then I am still not done with this. I need to add some extra special touches to that back inside cover. I wanted to utilize the excess paper I had from covering this old photo album, and what better way to do it, and what better way to add an extra special touch than to utilize it here on this back inside cover. I love that it says, "Wishing you peace, joy, and love." It goes perfect with this gift giving planner. Of course, I'm going to add some extra floral stickers to this back inside cover and get out those heart-shaped paper punches and glue some of those down as well. I just absolutely love how this back inside cover turned out. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this video today. I hope that I inspired you to get organized and get creative with your organization, and encouraged you to make something special that you want to open and use to be more organized and plan out your year. Don't forget, you can also use this method for anything, just to make a journal in and of itself, or any kind of planner, not just a gift giving planner. Well, thank you so much for watching Are You Ready To? I hope you check out some of my other videos. I also give tips and tricks for secondhand shopping because, of course, I love to utilize antique and vintage finds in all of my crafting. Thanks again for watching Are You Ready To? And see you next time.